Hey Aquarius. It's Taurus season. More fixed energy. You guys love it, but it's also kind of less stable than it used to be. Even though you guys want it and you like the change that's happening because it's a part of what you are doing. At the same time, it's also very demanding of energy, demanding of attention, demanding of detail, in all the right ways, or all the ways, all the four corners of fixed signs. So while you are, hold on one second, trying to get it right, not knowing really what right is, but doing your best not to do any more harm. There is and can be this tendency to take a look at what's real, what's working, what's changing, what's shifting, and you know that money matters are changing. You know that the way things are being handled are going to be changed, whether in your own personal life, but it's you kind of seeing the outward perspective as well. But in your own personal life, things are changing. You are no longer you're no longer as afraid or as anxious as you once were when you weren't sure what's coming, when you couldn't add the equation together perfectly, when your concepts really are only concepts. You know that in order for things to become more than a concept, a way of life, there needs to be some type of change or action or physical, connecting physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, things that really change the direction of your life. And for this eclipse season, here's us changing by ways of money. You're kind of seeing where you're at, where you want to be, how that's shifting, how that's changing. Bottom of the deck is the Empress, how hard you've been working, but there's something about the slowdown of Taurus season. You might have felt literally on fire last season and really going and moving and shifting, and now you're at this, it doesn't become a halt, but it becomes this more of a meditation in motion, walking meditation, so to speak. This place where you are looking at everything a little differently, maybe more detail, maybe taking a moment to acknowledge your surroundings. And you're someone to do that, but when you're in your zone, your surroundings kind of become whatever you're focused on. And so when you can take a look around and notice the work that's being done and maybe enjoy the work that's being done and that has been done, you may not feel so inclined to maybe your natural habits and instincts and responses won't feel so inclined to feel more trapped. That you're not trapped in this one thing, this one idea that you've surrounded yourself in, but you are open and you've made something that can become more of an ecosystem and work for itself. So if you do one subtle change here, one subtle change there, which is something Capricorn had been understanding too, more Capricorn and Virgo, the earth signs. But Taurus season is showing you that if you actually take a pace that works for your attention for at least right now, and then you can always increase if you need to, but whatever works for you now is kind of where you're being brought to understand, or what it looks like you're being brought to understand. That what reveals to you is that you have been very adamant about looking at all different places and working hard in each direction and having those directions, but yet you come to this final maybe moment where the possible cycle that had been falling away is working yourself into this weird entrapment where it was just good and now it's becoming more of a closure, and it's not as much as an opening, and you feel stuck in this dream that maybe you've created for yourself, or this destination that you've attained and you're going in, and now you feel like maybe you're on the hamster wheel possibly. But what changes about this season from the Empress to the Ten of Wands, Eight of Swords, and then the Ace of Swords is that an opening is happening, that this may be just closing enough in on you, meaning not to get anxious, but you look at it closely enough and detach from it, which is a skill of yours, enough to understand that this isn't how you have to live, that even you could be gaining financial freedom too, where it's really helping you live more aligned with what you really, how you want to live and how you want to move, and it's giving you more freedom to roam around and enjoy. And this month you have, for the most part, no reason not to, and you're being revealed that over and over again, and it's important to understand that that is okay. That this season is what that season's about, and it's very straightforward, but it's also like, don't stop altogether. Just take the moments for what they are. So if you're in a moment where you're doing business, then all of a sudden a little bit later you're in a space where you're allowed, like where you can enjoy yourself and there's just people around and you're just hanging out. Let yourself have that. Learn to, it's like the fixed signs are also learning to be a little bit more flexible in areas. What I'm noticing, the pattern, I'm doing all the fixed signs first. And you can confidently move forward. Bottom of the deck is Ace of Pentacles, so 2 aces. You move forward into this space where maybe this great idea, you now have the ability and the substance and the value and maybe the money to back it. And now you can finally move forward in a way that you've been thinking about for so long, and now it's becoming like real and tangible and true, and you get to work on it, and there won't be without moments of mess or change, but this is like the first step to that change. This is the first step to that building. This is that first architectural structure where you're finally taking something from your brain and creating space for it in your life and literally helping build it. So that's something that at first, when you're in it, it can seem so small, but years later, it could have made the biggest impact in your life, whether it became something successful or changed or morphed a million times into something successful, because it really looks like you have no doubt to becoming successful. But Taurus season asks you, is like, what are you willing to do, sacrifice? How are you willing to live? What are you allowing to give to yourself? Because a part of becoming successful is learning how to, what do you want success for? Like, what is it providing in your life? Like, what does success look like? First of all, because everyone's looks different, but then what is it providing in your life? And it looks like financial freedom here. It looks like the ability to relax in what you have and decide how you want to use these resources, how you want to utilize these resources, you as a resource as well, how you want to package something possibly too, if you're someone who works for yourself. You just see the way out. You're seeing it very clearly by the end of the month. You see the way out of Taurus season and into Gemini season, which is the perfect season to get started. Fellow air sign, you'll have plenty of energy, but be careful of getting sick, as a wind element and another air and wind in the same time. That can happen because you can also overwhelm their ideas and become maybe stuck. So we'll talk more about that next time. But take this, think about it. If this speaks to you, there is a link for the second part below on Patreon, which is going through the cards more, looking at the cards. I learned that way, and it's actually extremely helpful. And I'm also learning a lot more about looking more into the cards, and I like to get that and when you can actually see them more. I think it's just much easier for that view for some reason. It tends to kind of sharpen even my view of the cards. after pulling them out with you. So Aquarius, take this for what you will. All information to work with me below, one-on-one is below as well. And I will see you next month.